Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming soon, I'll be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom room link, or follow the Zoom room link in my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 163. More on goal setting this week, my friends. Only now we are going to talk about how to actually make our goals happen. So last week, I suggested that we consider what goals we would like to set for 2026, what progress we want to make, what problems we'd like to solve. We may not perfect goal setting the first time, or the second time, or the 112th time, but we should still endeavor to do it. So this week, we are going to talk through 2 tools to make those goals actually happen. As a productivity coach and consultant, let me restate why I recommend goal setting instead of New Year's resolutions. Goals are set by us and not by our observations of or pressure from others, and are more likely to be something we really want to achieve. Goal setting, especially PACT goals, we're going to talk about those in just a minute, help us to create new habits that stick. And finally, goal setting helps us get specific, helps us to be flexible, helps us to identify challenges ahead of time and how to deal with them. Setting goals helps us formulate our plans for the days and months to come. And consider this as we get started: making a plan makes success more likely. As both Ben Franklin and Winston Churchill are credited with saying, failing to plan is planning to fail. I will share 2 tools today. The first is the SMART method for goal setting, and that's credited to George T. Duran. So SMART is an acronym. The SMART method tells us that goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, and timely. We are challenged to make goals specific. Goal setting is not choosing one word for our intention for the year, even though I have a few in mind, or a feeling or a vibe. No, a SMART goal is specific about what you want and also don't want in your day or week or life. Perhaps your intention is to make the world a better place. And hey, that is admirable to be sure, but getting specific, how will it be better? How will you do it? And where? And when? And better for whom, right? So when we make our goals specific, we need to answer the who, what, where, when, why questions. And when we do that, we are already one step closer to completing our goal. So a specific goal might be, I will help the children, grades 4 to 6, of my local community by creating a 6-week life skills class to be offered this summer at our local library, right? That is very specific, and it definitely answers the who, what, why, when, and how. Next up, we need to make our goals measurable. A goal has to be measurable, or how will we know we've met it? We can't improve on something unless we measure it. For example, my social media pages offer metrics for success, like how many people opened an email or liked my Facebook page or a post, or listened to my podcast episode this week. And those metrics help me better plan my actions from week to week. For a personal example, we all know that if our goal is to lose weight in 2026, the first thing we do is weigh in and also take some measurements. Measurable, right? So consider too that measurements toward the weight loss goal may be how many steps I'm taking or how much water I'm drinking daily. Make your goal measurable. Figure out exactly what it is you want to measure and determine how you will know when you get there. And we will talk more about measurable when we get to PACT goals. Next up in our SMART goals is making our goals achievable or attainable. We need to make sure that the goal we set out to achieve is actually doable. I can change the world, it's true. However, there are some things I cannot do. I probably can't grow a foot taller. I can't join a professional sports team. I can't run a marathon in the next week. There are some things that are just not feasible. And we want to set goals that are achievable, also that stretch us just a bit, but that are doable, right? And let's take a moment here to remember we can only make goals for ourselves. We can't force goals on others. Our goal may be in conjunction with another person's goal, like a business plan with a business partner, or a healthy living plan for the whole family, but they really need to be achievable for us. Just something to think about. Achievable goals, attainable goals require action. We can't just sit there and expect things to happen. That's not a goal, right? So when we want to achieve something, we need to create an action plan to achieve that goal. We need to break down the goals to make them achievable. We need to turn really big goals into a series of small goals, or broken down even further, a series of tasks or steps. So we want to set a big goal and then break it into bite-sized, actionable steps to make it achievable. We also need to consider pitfalls as we are hoping to make our goals achievable. Let's say your goal is, I am going to the gym every day. I mean, hey, that's great. Sounds achievable. And have you joined a gym? Is there one close to you? Do you know the open hours of the gym? How are you going to fit that into your schedule? What about the people around you that already rely on you? How will you work with that so that they can understand what you're trying to do and still be supported or still be supportive? All of those things matter. And navigating those potential problems as we plan makes those goals one step closer to achievable. A couple things to help us achieve our goals before we move on to relevant. So consider these. For example, finding an external accountability partner, like hiring a web developer or a personal trainer. Also, something that makes things achievable is to share our goals and plans with supportive people around us to remind us of our goal and our why. And also, as mentioned, being realistic and anticipating that there will be obstacles and having plans in place to work around them. Next up on our SMART goals is we need to make goals relevant. I heard in a webinar last week that when we set goals that we want to complete, we should be seeking a feeling and not just an outcome. I don't know how I feel about that. So yes, and also no. Feelings are unreliable and difficult to measure as we set goals, but they absolutely matter, right? So making our goals relevant. In coaching, we ask, what makes this important now? Stating meaningful goals means we're more likely to meet them. This step asks us to ask why. Why am I setting this goal? Why should I dedicate time and energy and resources to this goal, right? What makes it relevant? And we need to be ready to repeat our why all the time and everywhere. And then finally, for SMART goals, before we move on to PACT goals, we need to make our goals timely. We set goals to create urgency through a deadline and structure. We set a time frame for our goals. A SMART goal needs to be timely, time specific. I will achieve XYZ goal by March 1st or next Tuesday. Every goal needs a deadline or it's just a wish. We need to set deadlines and then make mid-goal benchmarks to check on progress. And we also want to make the goal time frame long enough, but not too long. Okay, so we have covered SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, and timely. We are going to shift here. I love SMART goal setting. I love it. It is a powerful tool for outcome-focused process. But in addition, sometimes we need regular support as scaffolding to help us accomplish the SMART goals. And that's where PACT goals come in. PACT goals are process-oriented. They are the daily or regular steps that we take towards a goal. PACT is another acronym. PACT stands for purposeful, action-oriented, continuous, and trackable. Some goals are once and done, like a SMART goal. PACT goals, though, support progress over perfection. They encourage practice and repetition, and they help us meet expectations. PACT goals support progress because motivation is unpredictable. Waiting for a feeling is unpredictable. If we wait until we feel like doing something, that may never happen, right? So, a progress goal, for example, might be make progress towards coaching certification by recording one client coaching session a week for an upcoming deadline. Maybe it's support independent musical artists by attending 12 live music concerts in 2026. Yes, that's a goal. Maybe it is a progress goal like read at least 12 nonfiction books in 2026 and breaking that down into minutes read per day or per week. Or another example would be to walk 30 minutes a day every day, working up to a pace of so many miles in 30 minutes or such and such a heart rate, right? So those are purposeful, action, continuous, and trackable. And then we have the blend, which is my favorite. For example, here's a SMART goal. I'll publish new blog articles and podcast content every week this quarter until I reach 550 posts by April 1st, right? That is specific. It is measurable. It is attainable. It is relevant, and it is timely. But how will I accomplish that goal? Because this is not a once and done goal or an event, it will take consistent effort to accomplish, right? So to make the goals and the work happen from day to day, we need to bring the waypoints closer in. We need manageable portions to bite off on a daily or weekly basis, in addition to that one big goal. PACT goals, right? Enter PACT goals. They are the tool within a tool, the intentional and incremental steps within a big, lofty, SMART goal. Often the journey is the point. Sometimes we need to set PACT goals to give us the support to meet the SMART goals. And sometimes we just need to use PACT goals to create better habits for forever. So let's break it down. Purposeful, right? The question of purpose is important for setting goals. We want to know that we are achieving what we want to achieve. That just makes sense. We want to know our purpose and we want to be purposeful, think intentional. And once we figure out what we're awesome at and what we're meant to do in life, as in what we want to do intentionally with our time, that's our purpose. We want to set purposeful goals, and using the example I just gave, publishing high quality and supportive content for my community definitely aligns with my purpose. So if I'm setting a purposeful goal, publishing high quality and supportive content for my community definitely aligns with my purpose. But since that's not something I can just knock out in a day or a week, I need to be intentional on how I spend my time. I need to be purposeful in my actions. On to action. Here we are. Action, because we're talking about goal setting here, right? In SMART goals, I said goals require action. We're talking about making progress and moving forward. And those are all very active words. So progress requires action. What are the actions we need to move us towards our PACT goals? Working towards the publication goal I mentioned earlier, my actions might include creating the content on my phone, reviewing them, renaming them, and sending them along, doing that on a daily or weekly basis. Maybe matching up the content that I have with my weekly editorial content calendar. on a weekly basis, right? Also looking at all the unpublished topics that I have and what I can make happen in the next 3 months, working towards that action. And now, once I know what I want to write about and publish in that time frame, I can carve out an hour on the calendar 3 to 4 days a week for writing and editing. Actions, right? Since PACT goals need to be trackable too, every one of those steps that I listed above is trackable with metrics, which moves us into continuous and trackable. And those are my favorite 2 parts of PACT goals. Purpose and actions are easy to see, but I think what sets PACT goals apart are the continuous and trackable aspects. So let's talk about those 2 things. Using the publication example, I've set my intentions and I've determined my actions. Now I need to do them. So what would continuous progress towards my goal look like? I can determine that and then make progress toward that goal. And beyond, of course, because I have a waypoint, a milestone in mind. So I will need to take action every day or multiple times a week, right? Continuous might not mean every minute of every day, but it certainly will mean consistent. Continuous progress towards the goal. Perhaps an easier way to understand would be a wellness goal. Again, that 30 minutes of walking, right? So 30 minutes of cardio 5 times a week is purposeful, actionable, continuous, and trackable. And it's a habit that will help us for life. Sometimes the journey is the point. Finally, let's talk about trackable. How do we make progress happen? How do we measure progress and not just, oh, I'm feeling better about the process, or I'm less stressed with writing, or I'm having more fun, right? So progress is sometimes really difficult to quantify, which is why trackable is helpful. But once we determine our purpose and our actions and the interval, which makes them continuous, we can track our progress. In my example, I could track number of articles published, words written, minutes or hours worth of writing or editing, engagement with my readers by numbers of likes or shares, right? Those are all trackable. And if they're trackable, then I can improve on them from week to week as I track them. We can look at how far we've come, what we've accomplished so far, right? That's what trackable can do. In addition to catching up on my writing process, which is what my actions in the past week were about, I can also track my progress moving forward. SMART and PACT goals are 2 tools we can use to set and achieve better goals. We can set outcome-oriented goals with SMART goals. We can use PACT goals with SMART goals as the support to accomplish our SMART goals. And we can just set PACT goals and focus on the process and not just the end product. I know that was a lot, my friends. If you need to go back and listen again, go for it. If you need to read instead of listen, all of this is available on my website. If you go to peaceofmindpo.com and go to the blog tab, this will all be published and you can check it all out on your own time and make PACT and SMART goals that will support your progress this year. Support around getting things done is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you next week.